Hey everybody, welcome back to Harris Family Adventures. We are back together because we are going to talk to you about an adventure we took last week down to Worlds of Fun. If you're not from the Midwest, probably the upper Midwest area, you might not have heard about Worlds of Fun. It's located in Kansas City, Missouri, which for us is just about a 3-hour drive. I had gotten tickets as like a President's Day sale for $30 a piece, and you were able to buy them and use them anytime you wanted. So I had bought them and kind of had been holding on to them. And I woke Reece up last week on Wednesday and I was like, hey, you want to go for Worlds of Fun today? So didn't know that, fun surprise. And so we went down. We're gonna make 2 videos about our experience. This one is gonna just kind of be like our day and what we did and some takeaways. If you wanna know specifically about the rides, we'll probably get into a little bit about the rides, but specifically about the rides and the rankings we would give them because we did almost all of them. Go ahead and click subscribe so you know when the next video comes out because that's gonna be the next one. Okay, so like I said, I had gotten tickets for $30 a piece. I think regularly priced is like $50 a piece, but I saw online you can get like early bird ones. I don't really know what that means for $40. So it was still a good deal, but then parking is also $30. Now that's per car. So, you know, if you have a couple different groups, try to shove in one car, and they do allow for free drop off and pickup. I saw that and there's a place for that. So if you know somebody in that area, or maybe you're a ride share, that might be a better option if it's going to be less than $30. So kind of know that going into it. When we went, it was a week ago, so June like 14th, 13th, sometime in mid-June. The hours on a Wednesday were 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. I do think they get longer as the summer goes on, and I also think that they're longer on the weekend days, but I didn't want to go on a weekend day. And I didn't want to go later in summer because it's real hot. It's real hot around here.
It was already really hot.
And it was already. So I had kind of been watching the forecast, and it was supposed to be a high of 86. And my watch, the highest I ever got was 84, but we'll talk about that. So we got there actually around like 10:15-ish, and we were able to pay for our parking and get parked. There was quite a few cars already in the parking lot. Some people were kind of like tailgating, like they had a table set up, so I think maybe they just taken breakfast, and of course it was a big, you know, everybody's putting sunscreen on and kind of getting all their stuff together. They do say you're not allowed to take in any food or drink. You can take in an empty water bottle. But yeah, just kind of gathering things and strollers and all of that kind of thing. And then we saw people starting to walk into the park, so we started walking too. They do have you go through a metal detector, and they also check your bags, and they checked my bag pretty thoroughly. There wasn't very many people at that time, but they did like pull out the empty water bottle. Of course, if you watch my other videos, you know I had my extra battery to charge my phone during the day. So she even was like, oh, this is extra charging or something. I was like, yeah, I have an old phone. She's like, okay. And then you go and you show your tickets. So because I bought them online, I was able to, through the email, just save them to my Apple Wallet. They do have an app, and they had said you could save your tickets to the app. I was never successful. Like I tried multiple times and it was never successful, but they were in the email, saved to my Apple Wallet. So that was no big deal. You could also access at that time, of course, none of the rides are open. By this time it was probably 10:40-ish.
Yeah.
There were bathrooms you could access. They were cleaning them. I think we'll talk about bathrooms overall at some point, but not super clean, not super great, but you know what? When you need a bathroom, you need a bathroom. And they also had a water filling station. We'll talk more about how we kind of filled our water bottle throughout the day, but we were able to get our water bottle filled, use the restrooms. And then there were different parts of the park that they had cordoned off with ropes or chains. And so we just kind of got as far as we could. And then we stood there and waited for like the rope drop, which they actually didn't do till like 11:05 probably. They play the Star Spangled Banner.
And it's a large selection of music.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say no cash. Oh, I think maybe that was about getting into the park. I don't think that they want you to use cash anywhere. So like for parking, I don't think you could pay with cash. We bought food 2 different times, and I don't think you could pay with cash there, which was fine because I don't pay for cash. I will say, again, going back to the app, so these are notes, so they're just kind of like straggled. We took these notes on our way home, but the app does have a map in there. Now, in the olden days, in the 1900s, I would actually go to Worlds of Fun quite often with like different youth groups, or our orchestra would go every year for high school. I did graduate high school in this century, but I used to know it very, very, very well, but I hadn't been in 20 years. What's really nice about the app is it brings up like all of the rides. It shows their wait time if they're open, and then if they're open, their wait time, and it sorts it by like closest to you. So you could be like, okay, we just got off this ride. You could pull up the app and be like, oh, the next one that's closest to us has a really short wait. And also it shows you where you are on the map and kind of how to get to whatever ride you want to get to. Now they also have a lot of pretty large maps throughout the park that you can consult, and of course they have like, you are here, and you can look where you want to go. The app wasn't perfect, but I think the map feature worked way better, because there would be people that are like, okay, I would see them looking at the big map and they're like, okay, we want to go to it's called like Cyclone something. So this is how we get there, and I didn't say anything, but I knew from the app that ride was actually closed. So I'm like, oh, they're gonna walk there and it's gonna be closed. So I would say to get the app. So these are Reese's notes. It felt like an oven. So again, another tip that we have is to definitely use that water bottle and use sunscreen. Again, the highest my watch ever said it got when we were there, and yes, we were there, so probably in the park from like 10:30 to 8:05, was 84 degrees, but it was hot and it's humid. They have a ton of really big trees that provide shade. They do have some misters. None of them were on when we were there. So there are some of those things, and there are 2 rides that have water components to it that can help you cool down. But some of those places, some of those lines that you're standing in, it is hot. It is so hot. So don't look at the temperature, look at what the heat index is going to be because of humidity. It's all of our best friends here in the Midwest. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about that water bottle now. Like I said, I had taken my refillable water bottle. It's a 32-ounce one. It fits in my crossbody bag. And we did fill it up, I think, twice at bottle filling stations, which are near the restrooms where the water fountains are. But also, one of the things you can do is you can buy a refillable cup. And I would say they're probably 20 ounces. They're not huge. They have a straw and then a strap, so people would like strap them to their bags. And then that can be used, it said every 15 minutes online. I don't know how they track that because a lot of the stations were just open, and it is Coca-Cola products. So maybe, if you are a family of 4, that's probably something that would be worth it to spend about $20 to get an unlimited amount of drinks throughout the day to share. We did not purchase that, but in the soda area that they have all of the different fountain options, one of them is water. You know how you always have it's like lemonade, then you press the button and water comes out, and that's cold water. That's
really cold.
Nice cold water. So that's what I would recommend doing, is filling with water. That was one thing we did a really good job with. Reese got a little bit of sun, sunscreen wasn't great, but we drank a lot of water. So make sure you're hydrated. And again, make sure you're wearing that sunscreen. And maybe test it out beforehand. I had taken a new sunscreen because it was just in a little bottle, and then I put it on and it didn't absorb. So take a sunscreen that you know, that you love, that your kids are not gonna fight you on. Okay, in terms of food, we had Auntie Anne's, a cup of pretzel nuggets with a side of cheese dipping sauce and a frozen lemonade for lunch. We shared that, and it was $19.
But it was delicious.
It was delicious. And then around 5 or 5:30 or so, Reese wanted Dippin' Dots. They also do have a meal plan, and I'm sorry, I don't know much about the meal plan. I kind of saw that was an option. I was like, no, I'm not doing that, and so I didn't read much about it. But so when we stepped up to the Dippin' Dots, there were 3 pictured sizes available, and I was like, ooh, can we just have that smallest size possible? And it was a very nice employee, and they said, oh, that's only for people on the meal plan. So I don't really know how that works. So we had to get the smallest size available to normal people, and it was a good size. How big would you say it was?
Like that.
Like that big? Yeah. It was $9. It was, I think, almost $10 with tax. So of course, I mean, shocker, surprise, the food was expensive. Other types of food that we saw, we'd written down like fair food. Like they have the big turkey drumsticks, they have funnel cakes, they have pizza, they have all of that kind of stuff. And we did see a couple of options that there was indoor seating, like a couple of the restaurants, you could go indoors and sit, which again, if you go on a really hot day, that might be a good option. We just they also have a lot of tables outside, and both times we just kind of sat. Actually, the Dippin' Dots, we found a great place to sit right by the log ride, and you could watch people come down the big hill. They have a fireplace there, like a big outdoor fireplace, so I'm guessing when it's dark out, they lit that. But anyway, so that was the food situation. Again, they say you're not allowed to take food in, and they did check my bag pretty thoroughly, so I'm guessing they checked everybody's bag pretty thoroughly. So yeah, we got there, we did some rides. Our very first ride was a roller coaster. Again, stay tuned to the next video if you want to hear more about that. Took a little lunch break, did some more rides, took a little ice cream break, did some more rides, and then it did say it closed at 8. So we were on a ride that we really liked. It was kind of near the entrance. So we had gotten on that ride, and it was like 7:57. I said, do you think he's gonna run it for 3 minutes? No, he didn't. It ended up probably at like 7:58 or 7:59. But we got off, we went back to the entrance because there was a couple people in line. He let everybody get back on. We started up again. So we didn't get off that ride till 8:05. And then you're like, you have to walk through the entrance or / exit and walk out to the parking lot and get your stuff together. We kind of gave ourselves like a wet wipe bath, just maybe bring a change of clothes to change into, because you just feel dirty and greasy and sunscreeny and all of that kind of stuff at the end of the day. And I will say this one last thing, and then we're gonna stop and we're gonna make our next video about the rides, but Wednesdays are the days to go. And I'm not just saying this because of our experience on a Wednesday. We got in line behind a gentleman who actually works at Worlds of Fun. He was gonna be working later that day. And so we were just chatting while we were waiting for the ride to open up. And he was saying like, oh, you guys came on a great day. Wednesdays are the best day. And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, it's a great day. And I kind of thought like, that's the farthest weekday from a weekend. That might help us out a little bit. And there was one ride we had to wait like a half hour for the first time we rode it, and probably like 15 minutes the second time we rode it. Otherwise, max waiting time was like maybe 10. But most of them you would walk on, or you would walk up there and you would just wait for that roller coaster car to come back or that ride to end, and then you were the next one on. So if you were going, here's the big tips. Be prepared to spend a lot of money on food. Be prepared to spend a lot of money on parking. Be prepared with a refillable water bottle and drink lots of water, and wear lots of sunscreen. Any other major tips for Worlds of Fun?
No.
Okay, so I guess our final major tip is subscribe, watch the next video, because we're going to talk about the rides. See you next time.
I can't forget the day we met. Your eyes so blue, me piercing through.